Hello mixtresses and mixters. This is mixtressrae. You're watching Mixtress Video. So we're doing another Real Deep. This one is possibly going to be a last look. So I'm really not sure. Hold on, I need to adjust the situation here. I don't know how I need to adjust the situation here, but okay, I have to set up the shot so I know what is where here. Okay. So now you can kind of see everything up to here. Okay. All right. So this is possibly a last look. So, don't message me about it. I already know who I'm sending it to. You know who you are. And I don't actually know if I'm going to let it go yet. I'm really undecided about this one. Because this is a very well thought out deck. And it's so beautiful. It is super fucking internally consistent, as I call it. Every suit has, so the majors all have a corresponding color that kind of matches the card on the borders. Then the cups have this dark purpley blue. The wands have red. The swords have light blue. And the pentacles have gold on the borders. All of the suits have, so all of the majors are kind of, well, not all of the majors, but most of the majors are shapeshifter type creatures. The cups are all, so this is an animal deck, specifically the relationship between animals and humans, which is why most of the major arcana are shapeshifters. They are, part animal, part human, most of them. The cups are all water creatures. The wands are all predatory animals, mostly cats, I think. Not all cats. The swords are all birds. And the pentacles are all woodland creatures, kind of herd animals. Also, another point of consistency, each suit represents a season. So the cups are spring. Cups are usually summer in the correspondence, but they are spring in this deck. Wands are summer. Swords are fall. And pentacles are winter. The aces are consistent within each other, which is a thing that I really enjoy. The idea with this particular tarot deck is that Zia Hunt is going to have, this is Children of Litha, there's going to be Children of Mabon, Children of Ostara, and Children of Yule. Eventually, I think her general plan was to have it on the same cardstock with the same backings so that they could be interchanged. So basically, and each one will be humanity's relationship to something. So Children of Litha is humanity's relationship to animals. Children of Ostara, which I think she's already working on, is going to be humanity's relationship to plants. I don't know beyond that what she's thinking, but I mean, it's cool. It's so cool. I love it so much, but I don't need to say, because I've said it so many times, but because this is my deep dive of Children of Litha, I need to say it. I hate the cardstock. It is so fucking thick. I have gotten to the point, I won't demonstrate because, they're in order and I don't want to shuffle them, but I have gotten to the point where I can shuffle it, but, the whole thing is if you're flipping through it, the cards just stick together. And so it's really hard to Sorry, I don't know what you guys can see right now. I don't have a monitor because my tripod was going to create a shadow over the ottoman. So hopefully you can see everything okay. I'm gonna actually adjust just a little bit because I can see that it's not totally level. Let me see what that looks like. I mean, it's kind of dark, right? A little bit. And it's kind of angled weird. Sorry, guys. I know how I am. You know who I am. Oh, hey, I can get like a little bit closer this way, though. Okay. So I just need to know that, like, I'm using a lighter to kind of line up. Okay, this is where I can't see it, so therefore... Okay. All right. We're doing nighttime again. The candle, though, is in a dangerous spot because it's like right under the phone. I don't want my phone to get like really hot and stuff. So you're just going to have the essence of the candle over here on the side. That'll be okay, right? Essence of candle. It might actually be prettier to have essence of candle over here. Yeah, that's nice. And that's way outside of, like, it's not dangerous over here. Setting up shots. Okay, so yes, this might be a last look of this particular deck. So the guidebook is one of those ones that just comes in the box, upside down, and we're gonna read it. So it's got like a little, just as an overview, it's got 18 pages, and then it goes into the majors, and then it has every single card has like a little poem, and then has a description, an upright and a reversed. I believe that's the same. The poems are a little bit shorter for the minor arcana cards, but it is the same for them as well. So this is not going to be the longest video ever, I don't think. We shall see. So I am going to read to you the guidebook. Shall we? Hope I'm not too far away. Like, I'm used to being like way closer to like the microphone, so hopefully this doesn't sound like quiet or something. Everything's an experiment with me. That's just how it is. The Children of Litha Tarot. Be you creatures of day or monsters of night, let us reveal the truths that lay beyond sight. As above, so below, as within, so without. Let us gather our strength and cast aside doubt. This is 2018. I like that she puts in the introduction, typeset in Althea. Love it when someone cites their font source. I mean, come on. Then there's some copyright shit. Okay, and then there's like a little, kind of a little letter. My dearest one, through whatever means of prosperity or misfortune, you are now in possession of me and mine, the Children of Litha. Do you hold in your hands the harbinger of misfortune or the bringer of luck, a tool for meditation or a way to peer beneath the veil of the unknown and into the abyss? Truth be told, dear querent or practitioner, the burden falls to you to answer this timeless question. Will you let fate control you, or will you control your fate? Best of luck and blessed be all my love, Alexandria Huntington. And there's a little table of contents, getting to know the Children of Litha. Each card in the Children of Litha Tarot has been lovingly and painstakingly hand illustrated specifically for tarot and no other purpose. Okay. Is that a read for like art decks that like the meanings are taken later or imposed upon the imagery later? As a result, each card is a product of focused meditation, manifestation, and magic. In addition to some more traditional methods of decoding the tarot, this book includes guidance specific to this deck. Each card has a unique incantation corresponding to the soul of the card. Okay, so that's the like poetry part, I guess, is the incantation. And speaks to the power contained within. There is yet another vehicle for interpreting these cards, arguably the most important: you. Trust your intuition. Your subconscious mind collects information that you may not consciously notice or understand. The subconscious does not speak through words, but through feelings. Some typos there, because it says though words, but though feelings, dreams, and images, making the tarot a powerful tool for meditation and divination. Before doing a reading using this deck, get acquainted with each card individually. Take time to familiarize yourself with their names and faces. In discovering your inner truths, so will you find in discovering their inner truths, so will you find yours. So I really like that. Short and simple and sweet. And I just want to re-emphasize my favorite sentence there. There is yet another vehicle for interpreting these cards, arguably the most important: you. There you go. If you are just starting out reading tarot decks, your reactions to tarot, your interpretations, your sort of like instinctual reactions to the cards that you experience, that is extremely important. Pay attention to that. Name that. Family dynamics. The major arcana, also known as trump cards, these form the foundations of the tarot. Blah, blah, blah. They are the gods and goddesses of the deck and represent cosmic. Okay, I don't know how much of that I want to read. If it's just basic shit, I don't really want to read it. Aces are the root cards. Court cards are face cards. They often represent people in the querent's life. That's not usually how I interpret it. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. Okay, so here's some explanation of the court cards. The pages bring the seed. Pages represent the beginnings of an idea, project, relationship, or younger person with a more feminine energy. The knights work the land. The queens nourish the crop. The kings bring in the harvest. So this is all like in relation to harvesting the land. Pip cards, also called numbered cards. So that's something that like, I remember when I first started watching like tarot YouTube videos and people kept saying, this is a pip deck. This is pip, pip, pip. And I'm like, what the fuck is pip? Why is no one explaining this? So if you're one of those people, pip cards are like any of the minor arcana cards that are just numbered. So like 5 of Cups, that's a pip card. 6 of Cups, that's a pip card. So if it's not a court card, it's a pip. If it's not a court card and it's not a major arcana, it's a pip. Okay, cups bring forth the finned creatures of the sea in this deck. Swords bring forth the winged ones of clouds and sky. Pentacles bring forth those with hoof or horn. I just said that. Wands bring forth creatures of fang and claw. So wands, fang and claw, pentacles, hoof and horn, swords, winged ones of clouds and sky, and cups, finned creatures of the sea. So I am skipping over a little bit, just so you know, like basically these deep dives are not complete readings of the guidebooks, unless in rare cases where they are. With this deck, I am going to read almost the entire guidebook because it is relatively short and sweet. Tarot tips for spreads. One of the beautiful things about the tarot is that whether you are reading for someone else or yourself, it is a deeply personal and intuitive experience. Every reader may discover their own methodology for performing and interpreting a reading. Certainly, there are traditional, commonly advised practices, but nothing in tarot overrules your own intuition. Do you hear that? Nothing in tarot overrules your intuitive. If you are like watching, I don't know why, for some reason, I'm like talking to a total beginner right now. Maybe that's you. Maybe this is meant for you. If you are feeling like you have to read tarot a certain way, I just want you to hear this. You don't. This is a relation. Tarot is kind of developing a relationship to art and symbolism and archetypes. So it's about your relationship to the art and tarot, the art in tarot, the archetypes of tarot. Like, yes, there's a lot of established ideas about what all these cards mean, and that's important if you decide that it's important. But if you don't want it to be important, if you want to make up your own meanings for all the tarot cards, like, people might scoff at you, but fuck them, okay? Whoever needs to hear that, there it is. Okay, if it feels right, that's because it is. My suggestions are by no means the only way to conduct a successful reading, but if you are new to tarot and have just started your journey, this is a good place to start. When using the tarot, begin by gently shuffling the cards while focusing on a specific problem or question. Then cut the deck. That is, split the deck into 3 even-looking piles and lay them face down. Like, I don't do that. You don't have to do that. Okay, so I'm going to skip over some of that shit. As you gaze upon their faces, look for patterns and symbols while noting anything that catches your eye. There's a reason your higher self is pointing you towards these specific details. Begin to form a story as though you are interpreting a dream. This narrative guides you towards answers or meaning. Be mindful that different spreads can be best utilized for different things, and there are thousands of them to choose from. Look them up in books, on the web, the web, on the internet, or design your very own. The next section explains a few basic spreads that are generally considered to be tarot fundamentals, as well as a few I devised specifically for the Children of Litha tarot. Now, take a deep breath. Focus on your question and let the Children of Litha reveal their truths to you. So I really overall like her approach, and this is something that whenever you are, I don't know, it's helpful to me anyway. Like, sometimes I just ignore guidebooks altogether, but if you don't feel like ignoring the guidebook altogether, in fact, most of the time I do. Like, this deep dive series is the most I've paid attention to guidebooks my entire tarot journey. God, I'm like stuttery today. But reading like the introductory like chapters or sections or paragraphs of a tarot guidebook is a good way to get a feel for the artist's specific way that they interpret tarot. And I think that can be important to see, like, do they view it the way I do? Do they view it in an open way? Like, for me, it's always about like the mission statement of an artist. I want them to be saying things like Alexandria Huntington is saying, where she's saying, like, let your intuition guide you. Ignore all the shit I say if it doesn't make sense to you. Like, that would be a sentence that would be in the introductory chapters of my own guidebook if I ever made a deck. It would be like, if you want to ignore me, ignore me. If you don't, here's what I think, you know? Spread notes. During a reading, I like to place the shuffled deck face down somewhere near the spread after laying out the intended cards. When you are done reading the cards, turn the whole deck over and look at the card at the bottom of the deck. This card represents the hidden and unseen factors influencing the rest of your results. This technique can be added to any existing spread. For the last 2 spreads, Anxious Summer Spread and Litha's Wheel, I have incorporated this technique directly into the reading. Okay, so here's where we get a few spreads. You get the like traditional 3 card. You get a 5 card spread. Worst case scenario, best case scenario, past, present, future. You get a Lover's spread, Litha's Finances, Anxious Summer spread, and Litha's Wheel, which is just kind of like a year spread. I hope you guys can see that. I can't see what you guys can see right now, so I'm really sorry. Okay, now we're getting into the card interpretations. Here we go. 19 minutes in. Okay. Can you see everything well? Okay, I mean, it's not the worst. Like, the lighting's not great. Maybe I can add another candle to make the lighting better. What do you think? What do you think? Does that help anything? Or does it hurt? I really want to put it higher up, but I can't really put it higher up because then like the flame's gonna be right under the lens. I don't want to set my phone on fire. It is an expensive piece of technology. Okay, that's a little bit better. And that's not too close, actually. I'm just like measuring, like, where's the phone? Okay, we're good. We're good. All right, this is gonna be all right. Like, I realize that's not the most beautiful lighting situation in the world, but whatever. Okay, so here's just what it looks like. So you've got like sort of the incantation, the description, the upright, and the reversed. I don't know if you really could see all of that, but that's what it looks like. A fool I am, if fools want just to wonder. Still, in my head are countless things for which I'm left to ponder. Naive I am, all wise men do agree, yet here I stand and still okay, as far as I can see. I can't be stopped, and even if I could, it doesn't mean I will, or even that I should. This is going to be the first time I'm reading aloud the incantations of all 78 cards. Like, maybe I'm going to unlock the deck right now. Maybe I'm going to keep it forever now. The fool is a free spirit, limitless in her potential and insatiably curious. Although she is confident, she is naive and innocent of the world, for better or worse. Her shadow self is dim-witted or illogical, overly trusting and quite reckless. She is the only major arcana card that is completely human, as she represents the querent at the start of their divine journey. Is she about to take a leap of faith or foolishness? Only time will tell. I'm not going to read the keywords. The Magician. To create or to destroy, to build a tool or make a toy, to master one or taste them all, to bend and yield or to stand tall, to covet and keep or share and be merry. My questions are burdens that I alone must carry. The Magician is a card of progress. He is just beginning to understand himself and his power. He is fused with nature's master craftsman, the spider. He is also gifted with wings, representing an elevated intellect. With his 8 appendages, he is flexible and industrious, able to take on many things at once. His shadow self, however, is a dishonest, manipulative soul. In this form, his talents may be latent and his planning poor. So, this particular interpretation of the Magician is reminding me of Loki, and I just watched the Disney Plus Loki series, and it is so my thing. Like, I'm completely over fucking Marvel bullshit, but Loki, that series is the direction I want to see that kind of stuff going in, because I like supernatural creatures. I like comic book characters, but the sort of blowing everybody up all the time bullshit that Marvel has become, I mean, it really was the whole time, but you know what I'm saying. Loki was philosophical, it was intriguing, aesthetically beautiful, it allowed things to happen. Anyway, we're not talking about Marvel right now. But this sort of interpretation reminds me, God, this the imagery in this deck is so fucking beautiful. And the thing that is infuriating for me is that I will never know how much I could love this deck if it were only on better cardstock. I will never know. I will never know. This High Priestess, holy shit. I don't know if I can give this deck up, because I love it too much, even though I don't use it. I guess there is space for me to keep a deck just because it's pretty, right? I mean, I don't want to keep very many decks just because they're pretty. Okay. I am keeper of the secret, the arcane, and the rare. I am knower of the ancient and a force to beware. Like the sea, surface calm, as below a storm rages, deceiving the fools, the kings, and the sages. I alone see the truth in that raging storm, as I stand before it, untethered, unworn. The High Priestess sits upon the threshold of the conscious and subconscious mind as the bearer of ancient wisdoms. As such, she holds a pomegranate over her head to signify fertility of mind. The crescent moon sinking beneath her tentacles further illustrates her effortless dominion over the realms of both dreams and dread. So I don't know if I really want to read the descriptions. I mean, I might just kind of like skim over them like I have done in other videos like this and see if I care. I really like the border situation in this deck. Like, I like the oval thing, and I like that she didn't succumb to the urge that she might have had to make an oval deck. It's just an oval window into another world, and she chooses to overlap the oval when it suits her. Like, this tentacle is kind of overlapping the oval. Maybe I should just like go ahead and gift this deck and just hope that someday, when it's no longer cool to put things on rubber cardstock, that it will get re-released in a more accessible cardstock. Someday. The Empress. Beauty before me, beauty within. A life with abundance, a life without sin. You may... Without sin? Did you just write that because it rhymes? I don't like that. You may mock me aplenty, call me shallow or vain, dismiss me as weak or easily slain. Yet it is you I hold close like a child to the breast, whilst you writhe in your pain, disheveled and distressed. I don't know what that is all about. Okay, the Empress is the pinnacle of conventional femininity. She represents fertility, abundance, beauty, and exudes a very nurturing and maternal power. Like the High Priestess, she too holds a pomegranate, but hers is positioned lower to signify material or physical fertility. Okay, so she holds her pomegranate up, and she holds hers at like the crotch chakra. Okay, whatever. This Empress is, there's a lot of violence in this deck. I will say it's probably my most violent tarot deck. And it's all like animal violence though. Like there's a lot of slaying of dragons and slaying of animals and animals slaying each other. So it's kind of, it's a primal sort of violence. It's not a malicious kind of violence, but still it upsets me. Like this Emperor card is probably my least favorite of all Emperor cards. I protect, I provide, I give without slight, and if I destroy, it's because that is my right. I own the weak, the strong, the timid and coy. I own the man, the woman, the girl, and the boy. Bend to my will, and all shall be well. Defy me, though, and your defeat I'll be fell. Ugh, that just like gives me the creeps. I don't like that incantation at all. Ugh. I'm skipping over the rest of the description just because I don't want to look at it anymore. The Hierophant. My ways are tried and true, my walls not just confining. I am quite safe in here, without want or pining. What could there be for me outside the comfort of these walls? Would freedom lift my spirit up or weigh it as it falls? I feel content, why should I change? For I like the norm and discard the strange. Okay. Minotaur stays confined within his labyrinth of social construct, hoping to control his beastly instincts. I feel like that kind of like expresses a little bit too much opinion on... I feel like the interpretation of this card is sort of the reversed of the card, you know? Love's embrace can be fierce or sweet, igniting sparks of intent when the two aspects meet. Yet bliss and danger both lurk here, as love and passion give life to fear. As flames of hunger bite the skin, one wonders if this union is of virtue or sin. Again, that use of sin, that just gives me a lot of like religious triggering shit. I don't want that. The Lover's card is about harmony and alignment, both between two lovers and between the masculine and feminine aspects of a single psyche. Both figures are androgynous, displaying both typically masculine and feminine traits, which can exist in anyone, regardless of sex. The Chariot. Onward, upward, over and out. No time for reflection, worry, or doubt. The bridges are burned. It's already too late. Only victory lies at the end of my fate. Control is essential, determination the key. But what is left after conquest? Perhaps only me. I feel like these are a little bit longer than they need to be. Because, like, why do we have to talk about burned bridges? I feel like the incantation of the card should be the positive aspects of the card. We should be like building in the possible downsides. I don't know, that's just my opinion, obviously. I didn't write a tarot guidebook. I could best you with my wit, I could beat you with my skill, but it is with my heart that I will lay you still. See that right there, like I feel like we could just stop there, but there's two more little stanzas or lines, or I don't know the terminology. Your life I hold in my hands to crush or save at will, yet the latter I shall do, because that is harder still. You may choose to be a beast, but I will be much more. Due to burden of this choice, I will learn to soar. See, I just feel like if I read that whole thing, it kind of obscures it, right? But that first part, I'm going to read that again and just leave it at that. I could best you with my wit, I could beat you with my skill, but it is with my heart that I will lay you still. Like, if you want someone to, like, I don't know, so this is just like a tangent, but I feel like brevity is getting lost. I feel like, you know, simplicity, brevity, taciturn, you know, just like keeping things short and sweet, short and simple, short and easy, giving things space is something that we just don't do anymore. You know, it's just like everything's like, oh, this has got so much content, guys. Well, what about just keeping it to, you know, keeping it simple, keeping it so somebody can remember what it is that you're trying to convey, you know, and sometimes that means shortening the content, says the person that's always putting out fucking videos that are an hour and a half long. God. I am alone and quite content, for it's only me I need. For everything a tree can be starts within a seed. To know thyself and look within, to learn to live without, is to live a life of happiness, missing only doubt. Perhaps someday you too will find what I have found, for many truths I've come across, both simple and profound. Wheel of Fortune. It may be spring one moment and winter the next. First you are happy and then you are vexed. Fear not the wheel with its ups and its downs. It's on the same face whether it smiles or frowns. Both the good and the bad are needed to be. So take the one with the other, for that is the key. See, that's I wish I had kind of like looked over this beforehand and like picked the one little chunk of lines we're not going to have this problem when we get to the minors, because the minors only have 4 lines each, whereas each of the majors have like 12 lines. Okay. Both the good and the bad are needed to be. Take the one with the other, for that is the key. I recognize that I'm not really like discussing how I feel about these cards in general and in experience, because despite the fact that I've had this deck over 2 years now, because I think I got it in either July or August of 2019, despite that, like, I've used this deck a lot, but I still just feel like I haven't gotten beyond the, wow, this is beautiful. Like, surface level is what I've experienced with this deck. So I don't really have a lot of like, you know, I feel like with other decks in the series, I've been able to be like, to tell you kind of how I experienced the card, and then I can read the guidebook or whatever. But like with this, it's just like I'm going straight into the guidebook and I'm just kind of ignoring everything else because it's beautiful. I love these images so much, and there's symbolism and it's well thought out and all of that stuff, but it still just is not connecting. It's one of those, like, I'm finding that decks that are super beautiful are harder to connect with, and that's kind of how I'm feeling about how I've felt about this deck for 2 years. Justice. There is only one truth, one law, and one way. Make justice supreme and let come what may. I don't like that. Within us lies a truth that all of us hear, and within us its killer, corruption, and fear. From the righteous path we must never stray, else our future and our soul may be cast away. I don't like that either. Justice is a woman crossed with an ostrich, an allusion to the Egyptian god Anubis, who could weigh a person's soul against an ostrich feather before deciding their fate. Isn't that Ma'at and Thanatos? Thoth. Thoth and Ma'at are the ones that do that. I've never heard of Anubis doing that, but with Egyptian mythology, it's kind of like all like smooshed together anyway. I'm not really justice. That makes justice seem just like too rigid and like, I don't know, like policey. Hanged man, trapped and tangled, stumped and vexed. What was up is now down, and I'm quite perplexed. Yet hear a thought that this way comes. There is more to a part than the whole of its sums. To struggle and writhe is no way to see. One must be calm and collected if they seek to be free. Okay, that's the important part. To struggle and writhe is no way to see. One must be calm and collected if they seek to be free. The mermaid in this card is ensnared by a rope tied to an anchor. The more she struggles, the more tangled she becomes. I don't know if you guys can hear any of the like night sounds outside, but it's just like total calm and really cool out tonight. Whereas last night was the night that I recorded my real deep for Darkwood Tarot and the electricity went out. It's like totally different 24 hours later. Death, submit, surrender, and drown in repose. Within us is a fear each one of us knows. Change, transform, transcend at my will. To struggle is to suffer, so relax and be still. I will take your burdens and cast them aside until only you remain and all else has died. Okay. This is one of the cards that sort of haunted me until I bought this deck. Like, I kept thinking about it. This was a deck that, like, I watched so many walkthroughs of before I ordered it that I could, like, one of my things, like, instead of counting sheep, I will just, like, go through tarot decks in my mind, like, in order. And Temperance was the one that just like, it was the one that I just had to have this deck. I mean, there were a lot of cards in this deck that I really liked, but Temperance was the one that really pulled me in, because this to me is Jasmine from Aladdin being merged with her companion, like her little tiger animal, right? I don't remember what her tiger's name was, but as above, so below, as within, so without. To know moderation is to live without doubt. Mind meets a body to know power and grace, just as heaven meets earth through both time and space. Fact is one thing and fiction quite another, but the truth is yet different, made by and for each other. See, like, why do we need all that? All we needed was as above, so below, as within, so without. To know moderation is to live without doubt. Done. Okay? Done. Brevity, people. Come on. You guys, I'm so worried about Nameless One. It's gonna have a fucking grimoire and it's gonna be so wordy. And I'm gonna be angry. The Devil. You think you own what's before your eyes. You think you're too pure for greed and lies. So now laugh and drink, you're sure to be merry. The weight of your sins you're later to carry. Falling further you'll think your splendor sublime, while I wait in the shadows, just biding my time. The Devil card is about sin. What is with all the sin language? Like, I just feel like if you're not a part of like Orthodox traditional religion, you should not be using the word sin. Maybe Zia Hunt is into the whole Christian thing and sin is a word that makes sense to her, but it's just a very yucky word for somebody that has escaped Christianity. Which, don't, you know, if you are a Christian, don't let me, like, you know, be insulting towards you or anything, because it's not all, hashtag not all Christians, but for somebody that grew up Baptist and really is happy to be out of that life, hearing the word sin is triggering for me, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate. The Tower. Your foundations are of salt, your understanding is of sand. As your tower falls down, where is it you'll land? I'm just going to stop right there, because if I read the rest, I'm just going to be pissed that I did, you know? This is very Maleficent vibes, right? I love this Tower card. The dragon and everything, it's great. The Star. You walk with hope, peace, renewal, and grace as you wander alone, unsure of your place. With this light you can see a transformation at hand. In the face of your fears you are now able to stand. Although you have already traveled quite wide and far, continue your quest under the light of the star. The Moon. So this one's interesting because if you look really closely within this card, there are just like so many hidden figures in the card. So it's really, you know, it's definitely very, when you're taking in this imagery for the first time, it's very like, aha, moon, yes, all of these things that are hard to see because it's so dark. Yes, this is moon energy, yes. The milk light of moon reveals that which we fear. Her shadows are tricky and their purpose unclear. The moon summons up that which we dream, but the shadows it casts hide what needs to be seen. Its inky blackness may hide the key, but in releasing your demons, our demons, we set our inner self free. One of my favorite sun cards because it's Bast. You've seen the dusk and the dark, and so comes the dawn. With your burden unraveled, it's time to move on. Sometimes I feel like I'm reading like Dr. Seuss or something. Over Hickenbrack. Someone as brainy and footsie as you. The long battle is over. The day all but won. Now bask in its warmth like a cat in the sun. Happiness, joy, fulfillment, and light. Your future from here can only be bright. Who could be happier than a cat goddess with her ball of yarn? Judgment. It's just interesting when I notice this. Like in the guidebook, judgment is spelled without an E after the G, but in the card, it has an E after the G. Come all ye wary, awake and arise. Come and meet your fate or potential demise. Realization has struck, you've heard the call. Now find out if you'll stand or if you will fall. The time is nigh, the future has come. Will you now revel in what you've become? Again, I just feel like I'm not really having a lot of commentary on, you know, besides just this deck is beautiful. And this person sat down with a lot of schemas and a lot of lists and like, this will be spring and this will be summer and this will have this color border and this will have this color border and this will be sea creatures and this will be this. Like, this person was putting things in a lot of categories and really trying to be very structured, but I think there's some experience, some intuitive stuff that is missing here. I don't know. I don't really know how to articulate it. Like I, for whatever reason, can't go beyond the surface level of this particular tarot deck. So I think that's why it needs to go. The journey is over, the quest now complete. All the fruits of your labor now rest at your feet. The reward you have gathered close to your chest, at peace and fulfilled, now at last you may rest. Still, as one chapter closes, another will wait. So you better move on soon. You don't want to be late. A mother centaur cradles a baby deer, while behind her stands an imposing stone engraved with a labyrinth, juxtaposing ancient theoretical knowledge with that of real life experience. And there are, like, if you look really closely, you can see like the little the symbols of like the fixed signs of the zodiac. If you look really closely. I can't really see it right now, but I know I've seen it before. Very helpful, right? Okay, so I'm putting these in the order of spring, summer, fall, winter. I'm putting the minor arcana in that order, the way that Zia Hunt, thinks of them. That is not the order that they are in the guidebook, so I'll be flipping around. It does start with cups, but then it goes into pentacles, which is winter. I don't know why it went straight from spring to winter. Like, that's just a little weird and inconsistent. With as much thought as was put into this deck, there are typos in the guidebook. There are like weird, like little, I don't know, register issues and things. I don't know. Anyway, there's sort of like a little poem for the beginning of the cups. The chorus of cups, a suit of creativity, feelings, connection, and love. Our emotions are as much from below as they are from above. The heart is fluid, both fearless and frightened, as much a part of the fool as they are the enlightened. The suit of cups represents the element of water, the season of spring, and deals with time in increments of months. As an expressive suit that rules the heart and represents the water signs Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. The themes of the suit are emotions, connections, love, creativity, feelings, relationships, and intuition. Okay. Ace of Cups. Your cup shall never empty, and you shall never want for more. Your feelings are what sustains you, and they are what you pour. The Ace of Cups depicts a river nymph arising from the water. She offers you a chalice overflowing with energy and potential. She is surrounded by water lilies, representing tenderness, compassion, and abundance. The fish skeletons and tangled vines at the base of the card's illustration signify our roots, or purest essence, of which our subconscious are a part. Emotions and intuition are a part. Little seahorses in love, merry we meet and merry we part. This union made full a once empty heart. Seahorses loyally mate for life. Well, look at that. Would you look at that? Three of Cups. In joyous company we are swimming in light, but as our numbers increase, so too does our plight. Three of Cups depicts a school of fish as it represents community, friendship, and camaraderie. It also kind of looks like a stained glass image, doesn't it? Four of Cups. An indecisive mind drains the spirit and heart. Thinking only of the end may threaten the start. A single manta ray effortlessly drifts among the darkness of its oceanic dwelling, untethered by the other rays above it and disinterested by the cups below it. The Four of Cups is a sign that, okay, whatever. Yeah, I thought that this would make me fall in love with this deck again, and I do think it's very beautiful, but it's just, I just can't get beyond surface level with this deck. I just haven't in 2 years, so it's time. It's time, Meg. It's coming to you soon. Five of Cups. Dismay, despair, regret, and remorse hit the heart like great waves and with momentum and force. There's a lot of blood in this deck. Six of Cups. I really do love this card though, because it's about nostalgia, and dolphins are very nostalgic to me because my mom was kind of like obsessed with dolphins in the 90s whenever I was growing up. So like seeing dolphin imagery really does remind me of being nostalgic. So I actually do kind of have a connection to this particular card. There's a special joy we hold for memories of the past, and an even greater sorrow when we find it cannot last. I love this eel. Choices abound and cups overflow, but not all choices are treasures, even when they appear to be so. Flotsam, jetsam, now I've got a voice. Eight of Cups. The love you cherished may now be lost, but holding on comes at a much greater cost. Oh my God. I'm obsessed with this Nine of Cups. I love it a lot. It's possibly my favorite Nine of Cups ever, actually. A cup for each arm and a coin for each cup. My mood and my prospects are both looking up. Also, this is my favorite Ten of Cups of all time. Family and joy, contentment and love, these are my gifts from the earth and above. Just the colors, the beauty, the happiness. I do actually really love this card. But you can get a print of any card from this deck from Zia Hunt's website. So if I am going to let go of this deck, I definitely, at the very least, I already have the Hermit as a print, but I should get this one too. Page of Cups. Inspiration can spring forth from the smallest of places. Art, music, and dance are man's saving graces. Page of Cups represents the spirit of the artist. Knight of Cups is the least violent of the knights because there's not an active slaying of the dragon happening in this card. The dragon has already been slayed in this particular card. just so you know. I'll win your heart and cut down your foes, but whether it's for you or for me, nobody really knows. Queen of Cups. To listen and to feel are lost skills to some, but I know their true value and will never go numb. I love the Queen of Cups. I love this King of Cups too. This is one of my favorites. As the storm rages, I stand proud and tall. No matter the winds, I shall never fall. Isn't it weird how like you can just be so in love with the imagery in a deck sometimes and then just not work with it at all? Like I look at this and it's just like, it's so fucking beautiful, but I don't use it. And I know I'm not going to. And it's not just the cardstock either. It's just something is inaccessible about this deck and I cannot put my mind around it. The spark of inspiration ignites the fire of life, and born of this flame are ambition, passion, and strife. A spirit arises from the flames that forge creation. Birds of paradise grow about her hands and torso, indicating that this inspiration will surely manifest into tangible results. Two of Wands. Oh, I didn't read the like wands incantation thing. Words of Wands. The words of Wands. A suit of primal power, expiation, ambition, and strength. What is expiation? For whom the battle of egos are fought at great length. A wand may bless one with the inspiration to grow, but one can only reap that seed which they sow. Two of Wands. It's easy to long for the wild when you're safe and at home. It's harder to stay brave when you're out and alone. I had someone critique me recently in like a comment. It wasn't like they weren't entirely being rude or anything, but like I bristled a little because they were saying that I wasn't saying the names of the decks that I was showing clearly enough, and I didn't have links to them in my description, in my video description. It's just like, you know what? I'm not here to sell you guys decks. I'm really not. I'm really not. I have never been provided a deck for free, with the exception of the time that I reached out to Amrit Brar, who made Marigold Tarot, and asked for the special boxed set that she had just put out of Marigold Tarot that came with like a journal and the guidebook and the deck all together. And she said yes, and she sent it to me. That's the only time I've ever been provided a deck to like make a review. So I'm not here to sell things to you guys. Okay? I'm just not. Three of Wands. Although I wander alone, leaving only my mark, I leave the unknown a little less dark. This is not a great, like, I mean, like, as far as the Two of Wands is concerned, like, you're not really seeing that. You're not, this isn't really a Three of Wands vibe. Four of Wands. A fine family and friends are a source of great pride. Haha, pride. See what you did there? Just the thing to help all your sadness subside. Very, very Lion King here. There's just, there's a lot of violence. There's a lot of violence. And yeah, it's animal violence, so I should be able to accept it, but it still makes me pretty uncomfortable reading with this deck. Five of Wands. A battle of wills is not easily won. A small fight may spiral until all is undone. Six of Wands. I have fought well and hard to earn my place here. If you ally with me, you have little to fear. Do you say it in that sense? Do you say ally with me? Ally with me? I don't know. So all these little bunnies down here. All these little bunnies. Again, the violence. Seven of Wands. This is mine and that's yours, so stay where you are. Just try it and see. You won't get very far. Okay, then. Eight of Wands. I run by so swiftly, so graceful, so fast. Still the issue at hand. How long can this last? Cheetah. Nine of Wands. I'm tired and weary, but still on my way. I'll get there in time if I can weather the day. A lone Arctic fox in a frozen tundra. Again, the violence. The success of the hunt can be a burden at times, as it is quite the challenge to keep what one finds. You guys, I'm nervous. I'm nervous about Nameless One, because this is a Kickstarter that I backed. You know, it's been, by the time I receive the deck, it will be almost 2 years since I ordered it, like, or since I backed the Kickstarter. And I'm really worried that I'm just not going to resonate with that, that it will be even more inaccessible than this is, because it doesn't have, you know, it's called the Nameless One because it doesn't have titles of the cards, and they're all sigils, and they're huge, huge cards, and they're thick like this, and I think they're going to be a little bit smoother cardstock than this. So I think I'm going to be able to flip through them easier, but I don't think I'm going to be able to shuffle it because it's going to be huge, and it's like 108 cards. And like, it's just sad because, you know, I paid for it like 2 years ago, and I'm about to receive it, and I'm not really buying new things right now. So it's going to be one of the only things I like receive in the mail my entire birthday month. And I'm nervous that I'm just not going to be able to work with it. You know, and I've been waiting so long for it. Anyway, this isn't about that. One of my favorite pages of Wands ever. This reminds me of Sanaya, the first Slayer in Buffy world. I love this page of Wands so much. And like the hyena familiar, the whole thing. I love it. The options are endless, the opportunities vast. With all that's around me, time flies by quite fast. So one thing that is important to note that I have not noted yet, the court cards all have, not all of them, because it's not completely consistent. I don't remember which ones, but it hasn't been completely consistent throughout the whole guidebook. But Zia Hunt has at least made an effort to, when she describes the court cards, she describes them as a feminine energy or masculine energy sometimes, but she uses they, them pronouns in the court card descriptions, which I think is cool. Knight of Wands. To fight and to wander are both plenty of fun, but when my goal is at hand, I won't turn tail and run. And you can also see that sort of the representation. She's kept it really equal. Like 2 of the pages in this deck are more masculine presenting, like this page and also the Page of Swords are both kind of masculine presenting pages, and 2 of the knights are more feminine presenting knights, like this Knight of Wands, and also the Knight of Cups, I think was the other feminine presenting knight. I love this Queen of Wands too. As I walk into a room, let the celebration begin. I freeze all my foes, but warm all my kin. Warm all my kin. King of Wands. I speak and you listen. One dares not look away. Warm as I am, I can be twice as fierce. Let not your loyalties sway. Okay. Some of this wording is a little bit clunky. It's like you wanted to make a little poem for every single card, but then you were like, shit, that's 78 little poems. And some of you phoned them in, didn't you? Didn't you? The Stories of Swords, a suit of power, conflict, courage, and force. It may lead one to victory, but also remorse. Mind sharp, action swift. Tongue curt, a double-edged sword, as likely to help as to hurt. Swords represent air, season of autumn, deals with time in increments of days. Okay, why is that? I mean, I think of it as like, as the seasons progress, the time is longer, right? So swords are more like months? I don't know. Ace of Swords, from the north to the south, the east and the west, the breath of victory now bursts from my chest. Supreme mental clarity, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Just wanted to see if there was like symbolism description in that, but there doesn't seem to be really. Two of Swords, if I fight, will I fail? If I take flight, will I fall? As I worry about these questions, my monsters loom tall. The humble mouse stands trapped between two swords as two owls stalk him from above. This is a card of duality and confinement. I can handle the bloody swan in the Shadowscapes Three of Swords, but this one is, holy crap, it's a river of blood. My bleeding heart, my broken wings, through the pain my soul still stings. I love this Four of Swords. So beautiful. The day may be wiser than the night, but in the dark one finds true sight. So we have a lunar moth in this card. And morning glories. Gorgeous. More blood. Five of Swords. I play for victory and I need no dice. As long as I win, I don't care who I slice. Yeah, that's pretty Five of Swords, isn't it? Six of Swords. As I leave this place, here a piece of me stays, but I must follow the sun and bask in its rays. Monarch butterfly. However traumatic your past, it is still a part of you. That is true. Seven of Swords. You think you've the world at your own beck and call, but if you weave a web of lies, a single truth may undo them all. Two lovebirds gaze dreamily into each other's eyes. Meanwhile, a sneaky serpent makes off with their precious eggs. So violent. Eight of Swords. Trapped and troubled by the ties that bind, but the hardest chains to break are those of the mind. See, some of these are like really good. That's pretty good. Again, I just feel like a lot of the time with modern decks, you know, anything that's come out in the last, 10 years, a lot of anything that's come out in the last 10 years have been rushed. You know, this one was a Kickstarter, and it was probably rushed. Maybe that won't be the case with Nameless One because it's taken for fucking ever to come out. This one, I love the description. I'm going to read the whole description in this one because I'm always trying to like explain it. It's one of my favorite Nine of Swords cards, despite all the blood, because it really is it's a good visual representation of anxiety, I think. That which in darkness may appear in disarray finds order and harmony in the fresh light of day. The Nine of Swords represents the deep psychological anxieties that keep us from peaceful slumber. Three ravens attempt to dodge flying swords behind a surreal nightmare. The first raven reflects the reality of the situation. Though his obstacles are stressful and dangerous, he avoids destruction. The second raven represents the intense emotional impact of our anxieties. Finally, the last raven depicts how we continue to carry these psychic burdens as if they were physical. So the way that like I remembered that was that like the first time something traumatic happens to you, you avoid it and you're like, okay, well, that was close. The second time, you really fucking feel it. And then from then on, you're walking around as if that shit's happening to you constantly. And that's that. How anxiety gets you down. Gorgeous. So beautiful. Ten of Swords. Your true allies will stand by you in bloody battles to the end, while others, you may find, are simply playing pretend. Ooh. Viscera. So much viscera in this deck. One of my favorite Page of Swords ever. God, he's so fucking beautiful. I wander for words, and for knowledge I lust, yet in my haste for the truth I must learn to distrust. Why? Why must you learn to distrust? I don't wanna learn to distrust. More blood. The dragons in this deck are really treated badly. Okay? I will have my victory, this beast will be slain. I care not for its suffering, its life, or its pain. This is a heartless Knight of Swords. Queen of Swords. With a tongue sharp as steel, yet a much sharper wit. If it is lies that you tell, then your throat I shall slit. Okay. Love the vulture familiar. I love that, like, this is a deck about animal allies, right? So I love the core cards in this deck. I love almost all of them, and I really love that they all have animal familiars. And all the court cards, like, they look like a family together. They're all, like, of a particular, from a particular culture. And it's not really stated in the guidebook, and I don't know all of those things, so, but it's a diverse deck in that way. King of Swords. Win my favor and awe and see your obstacles shift, but if your loyalty falters, my wrath shall be swift. Pretty ruthless swords. Okay, we're ready for the Pentacles, which we're back here. Parables of Pentacles, a suit of poverty, generosity, of wealth and of greed. Always there are those of plenty and so many more of need. A coin is a coin, landing on a head or a tail. A task is still worth doing, whether, there's a typo there, whether you succeed or you fail. Ace of Pentacles. If your vision is clear, the world will provide what you seek, but rewards are not for the tardy, the dim-witted, or the meek. Why not? I'm tardy, dim-witted, and meek. Why don't I get any rewards? Harsh, man. Harsh. Two of Pentacles. To work or to play, to be young and then old. One can't always be timid, nor can one always be bold. Mountain goats. Three of Pentacles. Working together is pleasant and often less straining, but beware of those whose presence is less helpful than draining. Less helpful than draining. Then, two oxen work together. Four of Pentacles. I've collected my treasures close to my chest. I will not relinquish these comforts, no matter the test. Old Ibex sits guarding his treasures. Five of Pentacles. The storm here is fierce and my prospects unkind, but we can only move forward. We can never rewind. That's a pretty one. Of course, I'm obsessed with deer. I could probably have a whole deck that was just deer. Six of Pentacles. To give comfort and rest to someone too weary to fly may give one's own spirit the strength to soar high. Seven of Pentacles. The fruit is sweeter than the seed, but it takes so long to grow. Still, if I eat the seed right now, the fruit I'll never know. A young yak regards a budding flower, while behind him coins spring forth from a flourishing plant. So one thing that I've noticed in the Pentacles while flipping through them, you're going through winter. So right now in the Seven, you're seeing like a little hint of spring coming in. Eight of Pentacles. As fast as I learn, I work twice as hard, yet diligent labor leaves my heart scarred. Industrious Mule. Nine of Pentacles. The abundance before me I've worked hard to achieve. Now I enjoy what I've got and have no reason to grieve. Two antelope graze peacefully in a flowering meadow. Ten of Pentacles. The foundation I've built forms the legacy I leave behind. Knowing I've done all I can gives me great peace of mind. Family of rhinos come together under the blossoming leaves of a tree. Yes. A coin is like a seed in more ways than one. Both can be made into plenty or be reduced back to none. Knight of Pentacles. Although my methods are simple, they are both tried and true. If I stray not from the path, I know I'll pull through. Again, another typo. It says though, even though I think it means through. I don't know why I'm pointing that out, except that I noticed that shit, so I might as well. Keep in mind, okay, so despite the fact that this entire series that I'm doing is about going deep into the guidebooks, most of the time I'm not looking at the guidebooks. Most of the time you're not going to be looking at the guidebooks. Most of the time you're going to be creating relationships to the art in a deck. The guidebook is not, for me anyway, the guidebook is not that important. Like, I do like this practice of kind of going into it and even like repeating that process with decks that you really love, that you've had a long time, just like going back into it every once in a while, maybe putting it in order, going through the guidebook, seeing how you feel about it, you know, diving into it is a fun practice, but 9 times out of 10, more like 19 times out of 20, or 95 times out of 100, you're not looking at the guidebook, you're creating your own personal relationship to the art, to the cards, to the symbolism in the cards. So the fact that, like, you know, I'm criticizing these little poems, or I'm criticizing the typos or the key words or the description of the symbolism, that's just me in this moment. And most of the time I'm not going to be thinking about those things, right? And neither are you. So take all this shit with a grain of salt. I mean, I know you already do, but just in case. Queen of Pentacles. All that I have, I give freely to you. It is the duty of the old to provide for the new. I'm skipping over quite a lot more than I thought I would be, but this is still a long video. What are we at? 119, if I can read upside down correctly. Okay, not too bad. King of Pentacles. I'll share I'll share my wealth with you if that is what you desire, but know it is wisdom, not wealth, that builds a lasting empire. Okay, so that has been Children of Litha, real deep. I mean, I feel like I'm just going to repeat myself, but I think for me, I need to let this one go. It takes up a lot of space because it's so thick. It has a very, you know, chunky box. I am a weirdo and I actually prefer like little tuck boxes and stuff just because they take up less space. And because little tuck boxes contain within them cardstock that's thin and flexible as well. I just like, it is a big deal to me that like you know, and this isn't against Zia Hunt. She's creating beautiful decks. She's making a living on her art, and I admire that, and I think that is a cool thing. And there are a lot of tarot collectors out there, but I am not a tarot collector. So this deck doesn't work for me because I can't get beyond the surface level of it, beyond the fact that it's so beautiful. And there are certain images that I am going to miss. However, I'm going to pack this one up and it's going to be coming to you pretty soon, Meg. If you see this before it has reached you, hey, it's in order now. I don't usually put decks in order that I'm sending to people, but hey, this one's in order. It's ready to go. One thing I will say about like this sort of like thick ass rubber, what do they call it? Rose petal rubber finish cards. They smell good. I don't know what it is, but they just smell good. So I will miss this deck. However, it's leaving. As far as like general reviews, like I said, I haven't really gone beyond surface level with this deck, despite the fact that I've had it for over 2 years now. As far as just like thoughtfulness and presentation, like it came with this little ribbon and the crystal, and I'm going to send that with the deck. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's definitely quality. Like, it's just, and if you're totally fine with that super thick, stiff, rubbery cardstock, then hey, go for it. That's not the kind of thing that works for me. Anyway, thank you for watching Children of Litha Real Deep. And if for some reason, Zia Hunt, you're watching this, which I doubt you are, but if for some reason you are, please don't take any of this shit personally. I really admire who you are and what you're doing. Like, I think it's so cool. And it's possible I'll even back future Kickstarters of her. If nothing else, just the like option of like throwing some money at her because I want to support what she's doing, even though I don't like her choices in cardstock. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Bye.